There are ults flying at you from things like this injure. We're dropping into the game now, finally putting an end to what was the most banger song that I've heard all week, but starting up what is going to be one of the most banger games that we get to see.
And my apologies, I had to take a second there. My nose is a little bit in bits, but we're fine. We're still vibing all the same. I'm taking a quick look at these keystones, and we see a change for Dorun. He actually went for Phase Rush last game, and then he's gone for Conqueror this matchup. So not fearing those ganks quite as much, not fearing that he'll need the safety, and more so prioritising his ability to put out damage. You take the Conqueror in a matchup where you feel safe, you feel secure that you're not going to get ganks taken down too much, and the Phase Rush really to do the opposite of that. Okay, no early banter. Level 1 Zeri is incredibly squishy, and I think is the one exception to the D-Blade rule. Wow, is that really how even their kill participations are?
That's crazy. What on earth? What on earth? Is that? I wonder if that's on these. No, it can't be on these specific champions. It's just that crazy. All right, well, we've got fights going on the bot side. Was does get chunked out a bit. Relatively squishy for both of these members as well. Renata doesn't have too easy of a time. Even in lanes like this, you want to be able to try and get auto attack harass down as much as possible, but exposing yourself to hooks from Hawk is going to be the spookiest thing about the bot lane.
It is, and similar again to what we talked about in the first game, where if the Renata can poke out and put damage into the Kai'Sa, into the Nautilus, then the Renata should be feeling fairly A-okay, but if she gets hooked and gets a little bit in danger's way, it could be a fairly dangerous all-in between Kai'Sa and Nautilus and all the damage that is going to be applied. The race for level 2 firmly on. It looks like they're going to come to head at about the same time here. No level 2 advantage particularly secured by Liberty. But Zeri, I think that this champion is absolutely bonkers. I don't know how it's getting through draft. I mean, it got through the first pick, and Matsukaze was like, yes, I will take that as my B1 pick, because this champion, it really does do everything. 1 item spikes harder than most AD carries, 3-4 item spikes harder as well. Every single item that you hit, you just feel so powerful. And I think that if they can leverage the Zeri, they're going to be in a very good spot. But Croc, he's spotted on vision.
Yeah, caught in 4K on his way up towards the top side. Kiara is going to have to play this safe. But with the wave, I think, not quite pushing back to him. Things are going to be tough. He doesn't have any ability for Dasamas to help him either. So in a way, though the kill doesn't go down, Dorun still is getting further ahead in lane. And it's some of the attention that I wanted to see towards the beginning. Croc, again, paying homage.
I'm back. Oh, but they're back bot lane. Hello?
We've got a turret dive started, teleport instantly. Dasamas splashing away, and you do burn a global, interestingly enough, from Annie to get that going. Crastiel will be able to go back towards the mid lane. Not going to be able to cut off Annie, I don't suspect. But with Dasamas, they could make things a little bit more inconvenient. It was a nice play from Liberty.
It was a good attempt, it's a good look, and they burn the Syndra TP as well, which makes her mid lane adventures a little bit more scary. Means that she's got to be a bit more on her toes about the recall timings, and for Annie we do have to be cognizant that they've still yet to find a reset. Actually still looking for that first recall where so is Crastiel, but he, like we said, has that TP advantage, can kind of recall on a whim and then get back to lane and cheat out on any sort of mid lane tempo that you may be looking for. Now with this big wave going in, we expect Annie to take a reset here. It's probably his best opportunity to do so, and hopefully put himself in an okay position to start trading back again effectively with this rise if they look to do so. The Psalmist walking around trying to get away from any vision that Netshoes have down. They're going to get on this control ward. Now does Dorun have the knowledge, the wits about him?
Has the flash right now, which will likely have to be invested, instead taking to the skies, knocking Dasamas back. Dorun once again shows incredible self-control on that summoner spell and some very slippery Jace moves.
Yeah, that was a really tight timing. You could tell that Dorun was, or Dasamas, excuse me, was waiting to see if he could interrupt the To the Skies with the pillar, Just didn't quite get the timing right on that, and I think that's an instant flash burn and potentially even a little bit more from the Jace if they get away with that successfully. Nevertheless, didn't happen, and Dorun retains his flash, is now able to keep himself, or at least with some relative safety, and after the first couple minutes of the game that Croc spent in the top lane, a immediate return on investment from Disarmers, who spent arguably way less time in the top side and got much more bang for his buck.
Yeah, it's really nice to see Liberty able to stabilize this as well. Now, Dorun does still have a little while where he can pop off, where you can find some gank angles, especially with Croc, but I'm throwing my mind back to last game and thinking this is where Croc was already doing quite well. Granted, on the Xin Zhao, but I wanted to see a game where you would have a little bit of an easier time and be able to convert that into the late game. Well, he has had a relatively unchallenged early clear. The lead isn't where it was, and now we're approaching a mid-game where the one-item spikes, as we've already mentioned, from Liberty are monstrous, and I'm not sure whether Netshoes will be ready in time to contest them.
Time will have to tell, though, with the opportunity of a Drake take in the offing, at least in the next 4 or 5 minutes or so. First of all, most likely going to be this priority around the Rift Herald. You can already see Netshoes miners making sure that they've got the crab secured pre the spawn of that. And to look at the lanes themselves, we've had a fairly timid, fairly quiet early game, a lot of even distribution. The bot lane a little bit in favour of Liberty here, whereas the top side in favour of Dorun. The sort of lacking, I suppose, of either gank being successful has kind of left this top lane to Dorun's own devices and has that distinct CS lead, but now Liberty a little bit caught out.
Get away! Oh, the hook! Oh my god, Was is out, but Was isn't actually out! The flash and the stun from Croc end up taking him down, and once again, Netshoes get first blood.
Okay, nice little play from Netshoes. Voss just a little overextended. Chiari doesn't quite find the solo kill in the top lane. And here we'll draw your attention once again to the first blood participation. Once again, Croc hitting his quota.
Absolutely wild that he's able to do that, and consistently too. 2 games in a row. This time though, as we were hoping, Netshoes miners do have a slightly easier time taking off. Chiari is going to be able to get a nice reset, although doesn't opt for the plate after forcing Dorun to recall, instead valuing that little bit of a faster time to get back into lane.
If they can get there quickly, it should be all good. It looks as though a little bit of a wave missed in the top lane, but you get a straight Dirk, which is probably fine. We'll sacrifice that for the time being. And now, with Liberty having lost first blood on the bot side, you can see that Matsukaze still feels absolutely no pressure whatsoever. Kind of just pushing regardless. This 1 versus 1 between himself and the Kaiser, at least in terms of gold at the minute, shouldn't be in his favour. In terms of the items that they've got, Sheen versus Noonquiver should be Noonquiver oriented.
Hawk and Was are both coming up. We've got plenty of folks piling in here for what we're expecting to be a Ripped Herald take. Dorun's already abandoned the lane, and Croc's going to start it up. Do Liberty try and fight this? And if so, can they possibly come out on top?
Well, there's 4 members on either side. Neither of the ADCs have moved their way over. Netshoes miners are the ones that are starting it, but can they get away with this one?
Crastiel thinking about starting things off. A nice hook from Hawk, though, almost deletes Chiari, and somehow he manages to survive, but not for nearly long enough as the unleashed power sets up another knockdown. Croc is able to continually chain these kills, chain these assists. Was isn't going to get out, and Netshoes take not just this Rift Herald, but a slick team fight.
We said they needed to be better.
Tough stuff. Let's take a look at it again.
We said they needed to be better in the early game, and that's exactly what they're doing. Burn straight through the Renata W as well. You have to get through 2 health bars effectively, and unfortunately the Berserker comes through just a little too late. Really good stolen away Trundle, gets the pillar, means that Netshoes able to collect themselves 3 kills, no Rift Herald, which means that they are likely to lose out on some platings being secured, but all the same, a really good fight, and like we say, they needed to be better in the early stages, and that's exactly what they're doing here.
This is the lead that we were talking about as well. Crocs just picked up the Divine Sunderer, first mythic of the game. He's ahead, a lot like he was on the Xin Zhao, but Viego is so much scarier throughout all points in the game as just a solo champion.
Yeah, look at the item differential as well. Divine Sunderer versus just Sheen and some components. It's pretty scary, and this is the Viego win rate for Croc. 60% win rate has got that positive on his side, and to play 5 games of any champion in one split is actually quite a lot, particularly for junglers with how volatile the meta can be for them, with all the bans and such coming through. 60% win rate is certainly nothing to scoff at, though.
It is wild, actually, to consider. And in this game, we're going to get even more action as well. We've already been blessed with so much, but Doran, oh lord, going low, getting Chiari low as well. Forces the flash out under the tower. Dasamis doesn't mind the unleashed power so much. It's going to be able to survive using the ultimate. Now Annie's the one in trouble. Still 3 people around. Could try and dive this one more time. Dasamis is low, but Crastiel is looking for it. Hawk's on the way up, but doesn't look like he's going to get here in time. Instead, Annie manages to survive for just long enough that Liberty are able to slink away.
Yeah, both teams waiting on their cooldowns before going for the redive gave Annie enough time. Hawk.
Are we going for it? We got it. We got to dodge. Chiari gets out. Hawk does go down for the overextension, but Doran is here. A very nice flash from Crastiel. Avoids the shock blast, but Doran is still on the hunt. Doesn't have the next one up. The retreat will come in, but Liberty end up getting one more than they bargained for.
Oh, nicely done. Good response then on this top side by Liberty. Now, Croc obviously has his way with the mid lane turret. A few plates secured as well makes this Viego even scarier throughout the duration of this game. But kills coming into the right places. Crastiel picks up 2 for Liberty. And we talked about these 2 mid laners being the defining features for their teams. Crastiel now got the onus, the preparation of a couple kills in his back pocket to potentially be that difference maker and set them up for success.
Infernal Dragon up next, and in the next 3 minutes as well is going to be the next place where Croc gets to unleash his power, if you'll forgive the not only pun but also misnaming of champions. It does really feel appropriate though, because the power is all in the hands of Croc. Cello, in the meanwhile, has been playing this game very quietly, just farming up in the bot side, not really moving, not really answering any of the plays, just trying to buy as much time as possible on this Kai'Sa to hit the item breakpoints. Does not want this to end up like last game, where it didn't really feel like Cello was able to do much. Instead, as many resources as you can collect now should ensure your impact in the later stage.
With any luck, their ability to play in the later stages will definitely be present, but they've still got to get there first off, and I think that for the time being, we've got 2 teams that are fairly scared to take fights with one another. Netshoes miners still hold that gold lead, still hold the advantage overall in the game, but momentum in favour of Liberty with those couple kills going over in the top side. The Rift Herald is going to be that next objective that I think our teams are going to be battling for, and it's not up for a while yet still. And I think that once that one comes through, that will dictate the pacing of this game, who has control of where we end up taking our fights, where the priority lays in this matchup.
Netshoes miners.
10, go on.
Just controlling the mid lane right now was the thing was standing out to me the most. We talk about wanting to make sure that you have that control. This wave clear actually pretty good for Chiari as he stalls this turret dive out for a little while longer. Teleport up to the top side could make this even. Chiari's dodged so much already, but doesn't manage to survive for nearly long enough. And in large part, that's due to the vision control that Netshoes had set up around.
Yeah, they just sort of say, oh, well, I guess without a wave, we're far enough into this game that we don't need one. Really good tanking of the turret. Croc gets in, gets out, makes sure that there's nothing too untoward being done there. Race for first brick. Looks like it goes the way of Liberty, so they're going to collect that one just before Netshoes miners are able to get that for themselves. And then with the turrets falling on either side, the only real plates being secured by Liberty was in that bot lane, so the gold a little bit mismatched in that regard as well. We got to see that there were 8 plates taken by Netshoes as opposed to the 5 from Liberty. but it's actually not going to be that AP Kai'Sa variant that I touched on. And having a look at the composition that Netshoes have for themselves, I'm a little bit surprised. It's Kraken Slayer plus a couple of longswords here, working toward that Q evolve very quickly, but this is not how we build AP Kai'Sa, that's for sure.
You can tell she's been out of meta for a while, eh? Like, whenever a new build emerges, we do normally get some growing pains, and while I am sad that we won't be getting the AP Kai'Sa, I'm excited to see the Kai'Sa of old perhaps rear their head. Interestingly enough, it actually seems like this matchup is playing out pretty well for Celo, considering the record during the regular season isn't down that much CS, although is still matching up with the expected disparity.
And it's worth noting as well, Kai'Sa sucks in the early stages. Gets absolutely brutalized in laning phase. So going down by this amount is absolutely no surprise. And having Matsukaze out in front makes a lot of sense. It is really nothing to be disturbed by. Netshoes got this Rift Herald, and I think that, as I was talking about, this could be a very big swing in the match. With 12 seconds on the Drake, it looks like Liberty's priority has been around this bot lane, and making sure that there's at least some sort of soul contention in this game. So I'll have to see if they can get away with it. It looks like they're just trading on the top side here. Netshoes not too fussed about one dragon going over, instead funneling these resources into Doran.
I like this move as well because it forces Kiari up to the top side, but even Kiari shouldn't be able to stop the next crash. So you're getting a lot of value for your Rift Herald and giving up a dragon that, to be honest, you really don't care that much about. However, Cannon Minion, a cheeky Cannon Minion, does stop the value that they were getting. Instead, Liberty get some really nice gold funneled into Kiari. Of course, Doran has plenty as well, given that he just got the solo turret.
A trade juicy wave, for sure. Very, very big gold. Picked up by Kiari. But we talked about the item discrepancies between our top laners, at least in terms of that gold, a little bit earlier on, where we had Shield Bow and Tabby's completed, and we were just sat on Eclipse plus tier. But now it's been Shield Bow Tabbies for a long time for Kiari. I'm waiting to see what he bases and gets, because Doran picked up an entire Mana Moon off the back of the turrets that had been taken in that top lane.
A really nice item spike for them, and potentially in time for this next team fight. Fortunately, though, with the dragon down, that team fight's going to have to be around the mid lane tower, and Liberty's is on its last legs. We'll see if they end up starting a fight, as Matsukaze is the one in danger, is that target of Netshoes Miners, who completely control the vision off towards the south end. Croc gonna step forward right now. Do you start a fight, or is this just a bit of friendly zoning?
Ooh, okay, this is where Jace really needs to earn his weight here. Show that all of the resources invested were worthwhile. Whenever you're setting up these siege type scenarios, you want your Jace to be the one pumping out leading shares of the damage. As Kiari continues to split push away on this top side, and this is a route that I talked about that would be pretty hard for Netshoes, is in this side lane. If Liberty can utilise these sides to generate gold back, that's when they're going to have a pretty good time. Now, Crastial is up here trying to potentially cheat out on some timings, but Hawk is here as well, ready to respond, and could be that thorn in the side that catches Liberty off guard.
No question as that wave melts, the Liberty are going to end up going for this. Teleport comes in, and they instantly back out. The CC from Nautilus comes out, though, and Crastiel is forced to flash the hook from Hawk. So Summoners expended on both sides, but Croc is going in 1 versus 3. Doesn't quite get the red buff, but you gotta respect the gumption.
Yeah, commend the bottle to just go for that. I'd be like, 1v3. You think I care? You think I'm bothered by this? I can take all 3 of you. Matsukaze, I think we've yet to see this Zeri truly unhinged, and I want to see it. I want to see it go huge, because ADC player, you know, big fan of when AD carries could do the work.
Yeah. Now you can, hopefully, as long as you don't get blown up instantly, which is the real concern with the Netshoes Miners comp, is that, you know, people like Syndra and Tazeri.
Yeah. People like being able to press R on ADCs and killing them. That's a general rule of thumb. I'm concerned about the build path as well. I see 2 daggers in the inventory and think that they don't build into Titanic Hydra. Doran is dead.
Yeah, very much so. That was a good call.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Play-by-play route in the house. Ready to facilitate your every playing need. But I see Tiamat now fully picked up, which is okay. But those 2 daggers, They were giving me anxiety, dear. I was looking at them and I was like, this is not the schmoove.
So what are they
They're
for?
going into a Runans. They're going to go into a Runans later on, hopefully. But you want to get that Titanic super early doors, especially up against a composition with so much health. Getting a Titanic and just that extra bit of health behind you is going to be so powerful.
Yeah. A lot of visual mess created by the Hydra Zeri interaction. I got to be honest, that I'm not a fan of.
Plus Titanic, plus Runans.
Yeah. Things are gonna get really crazy. We're gonna be calling out abilities that don't even exist anymore because, well, I suppose all of Matsukaze's attacks really are.
Just one.
Yeah. Does it sense us
Go ahead. He's queuing, and then there we go, and then the fight's over.
That reminds me of you remember when Ardent Sensor was meta, and all the casters were talking about how they were literally calling out Ardent Sensor.
Yeah.
Inside of fights.
He's shielded. He's shielded.
Exactly.
Ardent.
Things do get insane. They do get out of control.
Okay, we have 30 seconds on this Dragon Deer. And Netshoes Miners, once again, they are the poke team. They're the ones that are going to be looking to hopefully set up some, not necessarily siege style, but some vision at the very least, so that they can start poking away at Liberty. Liberty themselves have got a fairly good team fight, and I'm yet to see Matsukaze pop off, but that's what I'm hoping for. We've also got a 3-0 Crash Gel. He's been fun on all the gold, all the kills from the Liberty side lane antics. So that Rise is somebody to keep your eye on as well. With Kiaria level up over Dora, and it looks like that's enough to just facilitate a Drake take. And Netshoes are none the wiser.
I find myself absolutely flabbergasted by what we just witnessed. Netshoes do get
dragon?
They do get some nice poke down, but Liberty go, I don't care, and they walk in. They sprint that dragon down. Now Netshoes are trying to do the same thing up towards the top side. If they actually get away with it, I think my magic 8-ball says unlikely, but Liberty are ready for this team fight. Knockup does come through, but Hawk is isolated. Now it's a 4v5, and Liberty are going to slaughter you inside of this Baron pit. Baron does go over to Netshoes. 3 flashes expended, and actually, Netshoes end up getting away, actually burning 3 separate flashes to do so, and losing a member, but they got the Baron.
It's worth it. I'm so sad that it is, but it's worth it. Yes. They get away with the play, they get away with the Baron, and now with that on 4 members, it's only Hawk that didn't get it as well. I realised that I just sounded like I said Tony Hawk. There's no pro skateboarder in the game, I'm sorry guys.
As sick as that would be. That's Zeri, right?
Tony Hawk, yeah, true. It is only Hawk that does not have the Baron buff, and that to Netshoes is the equivalent of saying, sorry, we ran out of chicken to a vegetarian. It doesn't matter.
No. Not at all. Now that you've got this Baron buff, it's time for Netshoes to take all of the momentum that means and turn it into some towers and maybe even a base if you're taking a page out of Liberty's book from last game. Matsukaze is going to do what he can to defend, but realistically, you just don't have the damage, and unfortunately for Liberty, Netshoes very much do. Eliminating Crastiel's the one that wants to go on the engage. Are they just bullying Hawk some more? And moreover, they're actually going to get away with it. Flash away from Hawk saves his life. Netshoes don't lose a single member, and they keep up the pressure.
I'm actually so angry that Netshoes got that Baron and got away. Not because I don't like Netshoes, but because of how brazen it was that they got away with it. And they're making the most of it. That's what I have to give them credit for, is their ability to just pull the trigger and go, I'll burn 3 flashes for this. Why not? And now they're collecting gold all over the map. It is definitely worthwhile. They've got themselves a distinct gold advantage now, and those fights that we were hoping to see Liberty really take control of, they don't have the opportunity to do that now. They're going to get wallet checked at every given chance.
I gotta say, it seems like this Zeri giveover was definitely not as disastrous for Netshoes as we thought it would be, even approaching now 24 minutes. Even if we see Matsukaze take off later, I think we can ultimately look back on it and say, well, Netshoes definitely has an answer. They aren't bothered by the ability to take off in team fights because they aren't letting these team fights happen. They are constantly making things a numbers advantage, and whenever we see Netshoes start a fight on their terms, it looks really good.
Smoke and mirrors, dear. Smoke and mirrors. We play around vision or lack thereof, and we make the minimal amount of fights happen to secure ourselves an advantage. And that's so far a mantra that Liberty have not been able to deal with, the one that Netshoes have embodied and have put themselves in a pretty good spot for overall. Now, can Netshoes close this game out? Still remains to be seen. They're still going to have some issues when trying to siege once this Baron wears off. Rise plus Graves wave clear, not something to be trifled with. But, nevertheless, if they can get themselves another Baron, they should be in a pretty good spot.
They're going to try for Cello right now. I like the Realm Warp from Crastiel flashing in the 1v4. He's going to get exploded and desperately trying to make a play. Crastiel gets a little overambitious. Now a numbers advantage gets created for Netshoes once again. And Liberty find themselves with really nothing to do but try and desperately clear out waves before they crash into their base.
Huh.
Yeah. How about that?
It's a new one on me. It's a new one on me, I'll say that. Netshoes, they capitalise though, and they're going to break open the base accordingly. Really good stuff to spot one slightly overextended member of Liberty and say, this is an illegal maneuver. I am forbidding this, and I'll take your kill and I'll take your base.
Burned Realm Warp and Flash to jump into 4 people. To be fair, they didn't have vision.
Where was his team, dear?
Exactly.
Where was his team?
Sounding like a Hecarim player right there.
I'm sorry, Crastiel. I've done you a little dirty. Nevertheless, I can respect the effort of trying to make plays when your team is down, and sometimes you have to go for those. If this is a situation where they think, hey, if we don't do this, we lose anyway, then you know what, I'm all for it. I don't agree with the sentiment of where they were in the game. I think that they're going to be a pretty good. I think they're still in a pretty good spot regardless. Like, they've still got a lot of control over these team fights if they can set them up accordingly and not get poked out by Doran.
Liberty are trying to set up exactly the same play as they had earlier, where they pop in the mid lane, Netshoes poke them out, and then they get away with murder. They picked up the dragon, and now
can they get away though?
They're literally just going to walk out of it. They're totally fine.
We have Realm Warp soon. They're fine. Okay, well, yeah. But do they do the Baron again? Did we deja vu 5 minutes ago?
We are going to get the trade. I don't know when it's going to happen, but Netshoes seem interested in securing this mid lane tower first. Liberty very interested in defending it as Matsukaze does take a chunk to the face. Tower's actually going to be suffering pretty distinctly, and Dasamus is going to try and engage onto Croc with the pillar. It is non-committal, and it's a good thing too, because Liberty didn't end up coming out on top of that, or wouldn't have, even with the pillar catching. They still do have to find their team fight angle. Netshoes are at their front door, and I'm not sure Liberty can do it.
The poke from this Syndra is actually getting quite scary, and it's not the champion that we typically tend to associate with poke, but it's certainly one that we're going to...
Oh my god, Kiari. Oh my god, everybody's berserk! There it is, the hostile takeover! And it's Netshoes miners hitting themselves! Turning things around! Cello jumps into the backline, only to have the backline Uno reverse card him with the Realm Warp! That was Liberty's picture-perfect team fight!
Voss, baby, let's go! He just turned the game in an instant!
Oh my god!
That was incredible! We said, do Liberty have what it takes? Do Liberty have the ability to hold their base? Voss says, hold my beer, guys. I got this, hands down. One of the most game-changing plays we have seen throughout the entire split, let alone this series.
Again.
One more. Look at this.
Let's see how this plays out.
Everybody, just watch. Just watch. We don't need to do anything. We just watch.
It's so beautiful. Oh my god. Stop hitting yourself. Stop hitting yourself.
Stop hitting yourself. Netshoes. Why are you hitting yourself?
Look at this.
That was hilarious.
Cello got yoinkied right there.
He's like, okay, I'm going. He knows. That
was rough. That was so cool. Oh my god.
Now we get to see what Liberty do with a Baron.
That's true.
And whether it looks anywhere near as good as what Netshoes were able to do with theirs. They were able to get a top lane inhibitor taken down. Now Liberty, they haven't particularly moved out onto the map just yet. The gold lead is still in favour of Netshoes. That Baron has stabilised the game, but has not put Liberty out in front. And I think that's a very important distinction to make, because it still means that Netshoes can pseudo-control this map when Liberty aren't fully convinced and compelled to make a play happen. Now, right now, you can see 4 people stacking in the mid lane. They want to do something, but they force TP out from any, and they say, well, that's good enough for us.
Yeah, they've got Chiari pushing up in the top side, and the dream of the Liberty team right now is to try and get these waves crashing at the same time, so disengaging the fight when they know they're going to be at a numbers disadvantage does make sense for them. But in the next couple minutes, the next couple seconds even, they're likely going to have to try and go. With Annie answering the wave top side, though, I think it's a really nice move from Netshoes because it takes advantage of the fact that there's just not a whole lot of engage for the Liberty team.
We're going to have to brute force, and that's something that this composition, you know, it's not going to do the greatest. They don't have, as you say, those long-range tools to make things happen. A very mid-range composition for Liberty, and I think that's some issues that they could, you know, we could see really hemming in on the later this game goes, is that outrange capability that we have from Syndra, Kai'Sa, Jace. And Liberty need to try and find a way to get on top of those carries, but fortunately with Baron they can kind of cheat out on all of that and say, we have a big purple worm in our back pocket, we don't need to take fights with you, we can just use our minions as enough of a pressure source to collect waves, collect kills and collect gold. So far they've got themselves a couple of turrets outside the base. There's still a bot lane tier 2 standing, but the base of Netshoes Miners remains firm. And likelihood is we're going to come to this Drake fight, and I hope that Netshoes put up a bit more of a fight for it, as opposed to just giving it over.
Crastiel's got flash again. I'm keeping my eyes on it. Liberty also have the opportunity to pick up the Cloud Soul here if they can pull off that third time's the charm play. Netshoes unlikely to contest at this point. Everybody's right on top of you. Realm Warp starts the fight for Liberty as the weirdest form of engage, but it is just a 1-for-1. Oh, it feels so bad for Doran, and actually for Annie as well, who just got wiped off the face of the map.
Well, that's Soul, but can they get any more here? NMG is stepping forward as though they're, you know, winning this team fight. They've lost 2 members already, but they have got a jungler. That's the important part. Nisamis is dead. Croc is going to be sneaky sleuthing his way through the jungle. Can he find his way into the pit to get this Drake?
Liberty looking for him. Handshake doesn't connect, but Crastiel says, well, I don't need that. Flashes forward, and now Chiari's got no way out, no way home. Dragon's available, and you've got to imagine Liberty end up taking this. And are likely gonna be able to do so much more. Hey, look at that. Cloud Soul.
Gonna help them out. Casting your ultimate. Do you know who that's really good on, do you?
Crastiel.
No.
Because that's what he's been doing. Okay, what's up?
Come on, man.
Yeah.
Come on. That was an easy one. That was like question 2 on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
Listen, it is really good on Crastiel, though. I'm telling you right now, we're gonna see him Realm Warp. We're gonna see him run at somebody, and he's gonna get a kill. It's gotta happen.
Can Chiari do the same thing? Well, no, he can't Realm Warp, but nevertheless, just looking aggressively. I'm loving seeing Matsukaze look for these cheeky little W's off of fallen terrain as well. You can just so easily quickly pick a large slow rather, and then that can be their own source of engage. I mean, they did it onto Doran to set up for this Drake Soul just a couple minutes ago. They found a Zeri W through a wall, Realm Warp got called, and all of a sudden the game really did turn back. And I think that for Liberty, this is a really good showing of them being able to play from behind, but also for Netshoes, it's a good showing thus far of, hey, we can get these leads, but they're still finding those late game issues that we saw plague them in game number 1.
It does feel like they were rolling a rock up a mountain, and they barely reached the top, and it started rolling back down, right?
Liberty just flicked the rock back, and that was enough.
Yeah. It takes so much more work to get this momentum from Liberty stopped and get that rock rolling back up the hill again for Netshoes that I am concerned over the next couple minutes, especially with the Baron coming up, as to whether there's a fight they'll be able to confidently take, because I don't think you can challenge Baron, and after Baron, can you challenge turrets?
Well, these comps haven't changed throughout the duration of the game, and I think that the poke for Netshoes is still something that they need to be utilising. They've still got Jace at 3 items. If he lands a Q, if he lands an accelerated shock blast onto Zeri, onto Graves, it's a lot of damage regardless. The issue that we're going to start finding is, hey, we're starting to get sustained now. This is a 4 items area, 4 item Graves, who's Matsukaze is going to have plenty of lifesteal from his runes, and you can see that Chiari, he's got plenty in his items.
Lots of health as well. When we think about specifically the mid laner and the top laner, And then you've got a Graves as well. Everybody who does damage also has like 3,000, 4,000 HP on Liberty, which does not make your job easy as the Netshoes Miners comp that definitely wants to burn through. Croc maybe having the best chance with the Divine Sunderer and Blade of the Ruined King at burning through you, but he's got to get in melee range to do it, and the win conditions are starting to narrow for the Netshoes Miners squad. Liberty's already started up the Baron. Kiari, without a care in the world, is just doing this, and I think he may genuinely be able to solo Baron.
Oh, he can, without a doubt. Liberty just have to run anchor right now. I mean, they can go and turn onto it when it gets to like 3-4k, they'll just burst it down in an instant. But it looks like they've been spotted, and that is terrifying if you're Netshoes. Because if you show anybody anywhere, and you don't have eyes on that Baron, okay, Croc forces his own flash right there, that's a pretty good win.
Oh, don't run though. Don't run. May not be able to get out. He doesn't have flash yet. We're 3 seconds out. He gets handshake, pulled back in. The kill gets picked up by Matsukaze, and it may be the beginning of the end. Chasing down Hawk. His health bar is negligible. And here comes the Realm Warp. Here comes the speed up. Crustiel is in there like swimwear, and he is definitely taking you to the pool party. Croc is likely going to get taken down. Crustiel still running at him. Dasabas is desperately trying to survive against Cello, but Liberty have won the team fight.
But they have no wave, and they have no way to get through this mid lane. Fortunately, we've got Kiari. He's put in 3 caster creeps. He's got also a cannon with him. That inhibitor is going to fall. What else did Liberty get here? They've got 2 kills, and with their Lord of Topside presence now, they can TP in, and they can collect this Baron.
Absolutely.
It's a big fight.
This is so crazy. I thought as well that they were going to go for the inhibitor, but they recognized that, well, if Kiari can solo the Baron, think about how fast we can take it. Think about how much that means to us. Now they have completely swift around that gold lead that Netshoes had on them earlier in the game, and the hill only gets higher. The rock only accrues more momentum as Netshoes desperately try and get their engine started.
Dear, look at the top lane. Not the top lane itself, look at our top laners.
Okay.
Kiari has got 325 CS. It's level 18. Nearly full build. Doran is 3.5 items, so a full item behind. And almost 100 CS down. With a 3 level discrepancy. That's the biggest part. He's lower level than Cello, who's a duo laner essentially. 3 levels down on Kiari. That is so many stats. Gold, the levels mean more the later you get into the game as well. Level 18 Graves is just so brutal to play up against, especially when you're so low level on this Jace. He's had no resources for this mid-game portion, and it really is showing.
And now, as to whether you could actually change any of that, I think it remains largely sealed. The fate that you've set up for yourself, I guess as people say, bed that you've made yourself, you really do have to lay in. Now Kiari able to survive the initial burst. Crastiel may not be so lucky. The nice Zanya's timing though changes everything, and now you lay Matsukaze in the front lines, and of course there's no question that this Zeri is going to win, although Croc is able to shut him down. Cello swooped in. Never mind. Liberty do lose control of the fight, but Kiari never takes his eyes off the prize. That is 2 of the Nexus towers down. I don't know if they can't stop him. He's still got the res as well. Kiari's gonna win the game, but he turns away, doesn't get propped back up by the loyalty program, and we've got a Nexus on 3 autos from death.
But Netshoes are gonna get Elder.
Oh my god.
There's an Elder Drake on the board. Crastiel, somehow, the one that got engaged upon is the one that survives it all. He's so tanky on this rise. He's only got an Everfrost in terms of that damage profile. But look at the base for Netshoes. They have no Nexus turrets. There's 1 inhibitor taken down. Cello is going to be able to solo out this Elder Drake. He's got some reinforcements from from Doran just in case. Dear,
I don't know what to tell you, Rudin. I have no idea what to say at this point. We have got Elder Dragon on the board, and it isn't for the team that ended up taking Soul. This is so crazy. It honestly might just be game ending for Liberty, and not in the way they want.
I have no idea what's going to happen this game.
Me neither.
This is the best type of game. Wait, okay. You can tell that so we had one game. I remember I've done very few CBLOL games I've been watching, but I've casted very few of them. The one I did cast also got ended with a rise back door.
I mean, if they put everyone in,
there's no way it can be stopped.
There's vision. Disamus could get spotted. Wasn't pinged out.
Okay, Netshoes are playing a mighty dangerous game right now. They cannot leave their base. The fact that they've got 5 people outside their base, it's terrifying.
They've spotted Crestiel.
They have spotted Crestiel. That's good. But Crestiel could have walked through. If they'd have run walked behind them, there would have been nothing Netshoes could do. Like, literally nothing.
Netshoes remaining blissfully ignorant of that fact. Are going to be able to stabilize, but we've got another concern mounting, and that is that this Elder Dragon is starting to run out.
Yeah,
they've used all of this time to stabilize.
They don't care to go for a fight because of this Elder, quite frankly. You know, if they go for the fight and they lose, we're 40 minutes in, this could very well seal the deal. Giving them the Elder hasn't been the nail in the coffin that it is in other games, just because those 2 Nexus turrets are down, and you can see Dorun is on sweeper duty right now. Any realm warps come forward, he's calling the boys, saying, "Hey, we got a rat infestation to deal with. We need to get rid of this quickly, otherwise the house is already on fire and it's about to burn down."
With the Baron up in 1 minute 30, I don't think Elder will be around for that. Liberty may just be able to bamboozle Netshoes once again. Sending Kiari to the bot side as well. Could actually be a power move. You got teleport on your graves, who can't end the game. Oh my god, Zelda's going on. Surely Zelda doesn't get this. We've still got loyalty program available as well. So Kiari's going to get away. Ultimate expended by Kaisa, but Kiari forced to reset now as he's basically dead in a very weird way.
Could sustain up off this crab maybe, but it looks like they don't particularly care for it. He has got TP as well if they just want to speedily get him back out onto the map. But it's a really good timing to use that Kai'Sa ulti as well. It's going to be back up in time for that Baron in 52 seconds time. And hey, if you get that pick, you stave off so much and you probably secure your team the Baron as well. I like the look from Cello, and I wanted to draw our attention to this, is that this guy is now also level 18, also 5 items, 6 items if you want to count the boots. Is as strong as Kai'Sa gets, has gone for that full AD carry mentality, and you are a devastating force to deal with at this stage in the game. There is no other way about it. If you don't have several members dogpiling onto this Kai'Sa, she's going to be able to kite you, she's going to be able to sustain through the damage and put up insane damage numbers, much faster than Natsukaze will. And I'm scared for both teams, because there's still that chance that there's a realm warp that ends the game, but there's also that chance that Cello just 1v9s.
And up against Matsukaze as well, it's wild that we're even considering it. Liberty are trying to clear out vision, making this Baron a little bit safer. Kiari actually starts up the Baron. Netshoes miners know that this is physically possible to do as a solo, so they have to push up. They're forcing Liberty back, but unabashed, Kiari going to continue this. Croc going to start wandering over. It is a lot of mind games that are being played at this point, and as much as I'd like to see Kiari split push, as much as I'd like to see pressure applied, I think everybody on the map knows that split seconds are going to be the difference in this team fight. So Liberty are holding each other close as our Netshoes.
Important note is that the bot lane inhibitor is back for Netshoes. The ability for them to get backdoored just got incredibly difficult. It means that there will have to be a lot of time from Liberty expended. I still think they could do. I think if they roam warp in the right place, then they're in a pretty good spot. But you can see Kiari, instead of turning his attention to that Baron, he's going to turn it to this bot lane inhibitor. He can't be left untouched in this bot lane for too long. If he is, that inhib falls, that Nexus falls as easily. Bated breath as we go in.
Oh my god, Dorun, he almost doesn't survive. Ultimate comes in, but Crastiel jumps in right now. You've got the moves in Swoop Cello, but the instant exhaust, the cleanse. Can he kill Matsukaze? He takes him down. Liberty somehow aren't holding on, but as they take down the Kai'Sa, there we go. The starts to roll. Kiari is insane. And on this Graves, the man with the shotgun, he blows up a third, takes a triple, and takes game.